Welcome back to Anno 1800. We are playing the campaign in the highest difficulty, and we've actually already made quite a bit of progress because this is episode 10. Don't hesitate to check in the video description below if you missed any of the previous one. But today I have big plans. I want to get into steam motors, heavy weapons, to make battle cruisers and more. But before we look at this, I wanted to show you that now that we have unlocked in the last episode the commuter piers, I'm really starting to specialize my island. For example, over here, this is a farmer island. There is only farmers. I even put farmers in the middle over here, to cover as much as possible. I've added 2 post office, so we have a great coverage. And I have even added 2 other lifestyle goods, the flour, which is made over here, and the soap, which is made over there. So with this, quite a bit of farmers reserved, that's good. For now on Ditchwater, I have both farmers and workers, but the reality is we're probably gonna make this a worker island, basically moving all of this into workers, but basically I took out all of the artisans that used to be there. Of course, I also updated all of the productions to make sure that we're producing enough, but not too much either, right? We have enough, but not too much. In particular, I've actually deleted the sewing machine production that used to be there because we don't need it on this island anymore. And then over here on the new capital, this will be for my artisan, engineers, and investors. We're not there yet, but we'll get there. As you can see though, we have a lot of artisans, a lot of engineers, so that's great. So you may be wondering why I'm making a lot less money than before. I think we ended the last episode around 13,000 of profit. Now we are at less than 6,000. It is because I'm actually not giving a lot of things to those engineers. And even for my artisans right now, it seems that the rum is low. This is strange, we should be having enough rum. Oh, here there's some rum coming. So maybe I need one more ship on the rum. We'll check that in a second. So that should increase my income. But it doesn't change the fact that if you look at my engineers over here, they're not getting the penny farthing, they're not getting the pocket watches, and they're not getting many of those goods over here either. So that means, they are not bringing a lot of money. One good thing that is helping though is the bank. We have unlocked the bank. This is 3,000 engineers, if I remember correctly, and it's 53 coins per people, so that's huge. But yeah, more importantly over here we have some big new productions. Let's start with the motor assembly line to make some steam motors. This is going to be crucial for some of my new ships, but also for other things like the tractors, for the farms and others. So you definitely do want a good production. For now I only have one of those motor assembly line. In the future maybe we'll increase that a bit. It does cost a lot, as you can see, right? Almost 2,000 of upkeep. That is huge. It requires some steel, which is why we have the furnace next to it. And it requires also a new resource, the brass. The brass is made into this brass meltery over there, which require 2 new mining resources, the zinc and the copper. I don't have any mines for that over here, but the reality is, given that I have only 1 brass meltery for now, I don't really need that much zinc and copper. And therefore what I did is I just created this new route that is buying this zinc and copper and a bit of iron because, it's always good to have iron. At the prison, at Ellie, he's selling that, so you can buy it and then deliver it to yourself. Ditchwater has both zinc and copper, by the way. But yeah, simple production to be able to make steam motors. And then next to it, we have a huge building, the heavy weapon factory. Beautiful, but huge, as I just said. That's going to take, again, a bit of steel, but then also some dynamite. A new production, which is over here. We have the dynamite factory. By the way, all of this costing a lot, right? Like more than 2,000 of maintenance. This one almost 1,000. And it's going to take tallow and salpetre. The tallow we're producing over here, rendering work and pig farm. Unfortunately, this island over here doesn't have the salpetre fertility. So I had to do it on another island. I did it on this one over here. This is my fur island, which by the way has been improved. You can see there is more hunting cabin. We are now producing 11 per minute, but we're also producing a bit of salpetre. All of this with, the free labor, so that's great. And again, another reason why I put it there is because I already had a ship that was coming from here to go over here to deliver the fur. So now that same ship over here is delivering the fur, but also some salpetre and some iron. So with this, we're making dynamite, and with this dynamite, we are making advanced weapon. It's important to realize that many of those buildings actually require electricity. They won't work if you don't have electricity, which is why I've put them over here, because we have this oil power plant that is also linked to my steam shipyard. We have built the steam shipyard, and it does require electricity too. So that's why we have this corner there. And we've actually already made our first ship. We didn't make the first one over here, the cargo. We made the oil tanker. We made this oil tanker because I really need to increase my production of oil on this island. In the last episode, we created those 2 oil refineries over there that are covering all 3 of the oil springs that are on this island. But that's not enough, right? This is just enough for one of these oil power plants. I need a second there and maybe even more in the future. So we need an oil tanker to transport oil from another island. And in particular, in this case, it will be from the New World. Before we go to the New World though, let's build a first cargo ship. We have what it takes for the first battle cruiser, but we're just missing influence. I'm very low on influence, so we need to also increase that population for this. But yeah, on Prosperity Island in the New World, we have started also the oil production. We have 1 oil refinery with 5 oil wells. So as you can see, the production is a lot higher. By the way, right now, this is a no workforce island, so I can also increase this without any problems. There is no risk of explosion or anything like this.
I feel bad for the poor Jornaleros.
No.
They will never experience the bliss that comes with progress.
And this way we move from a productivity of 500% to 750. We're gonna get to 750 soon. We have the train going into the harbor. I've added also a few more oil stores to increase, the storage. And so now we can create a new route, an oil route, using obviously the only one that we have. It's going to start on Prosperity and going to deliver in this island over here. We want to deliver as much as possible. There is only 1 slot, right? But still 400, that's a good production. Now we saw earlier we had a problem with the rum. As you can see right now, I have 4 of those ships and they're all full. So that's great, but that probably means I need more, which is why it's great to make a cargo ship right now. Going to be able to transport even more. So basically, as you can see over here, I am producing on Manola enough of the rum that is needed for Manola, for Deepwater, and the new capital. So it's definitely a lot. We have 21 rum distilleries from the Hacienda. They're all over here, so it's definitely, an important corner of my city. And this requires a lot of sugarcane, right? So we have a lot of production of sugarcane that I've added over there. The other production that I've increased on Manola is the coffee. We don't really need that much coffee for Manola, only around 2, but we need a lot of coffee for all of those engineers, right? If we look with the new capital, we're gonna need 10. So that's why I've increased, the coffee production. We used to have only 1 of these. Now we have 1, 2, and 3. And we've also started, of course, a new route, therefore, from Manola to the new capital, transporting this coffee. I'm not sure 1 clipper is gonna be enough, but we'll see that very soon. And while we are on Manola, there is another big production that has changed. For my obreras and my artista, we need some sewing machines. We used to bring them from the old world to the new world, but now with the latest DLC, we can actually make them in the new world. Instead of wood and steel, it's gonna be wood and aluminum, but that's fine, right? We have this. So this is what's happening over here. You can see I've put 3 of those sewing machine factory. We have then 6 of those aluminum smelter, because this is 1 minute and 30-second production chain. And this is using, of course, the bauxite over here, right? That's easy, it's only 1 mine. And a couple of charcoal clean for the coal. So with this, we're making directly on the island enough of the sewing machine, and we don't need to transport it anymore. Now I showed you that we started the salpet production over here for the heavy weapon, but you may remember from the last episode that I also wanted salpet for another production, for the helium production. So this is on this small island next to it. We also have the salpet fertility need. So again, I'm using 0 workforce, that's a very easy one. And there is a ship that's sending it to the new world. And therefore in the new world, my production of helium has started. We have the fish oil and a bit of salpet to make the industrial lubricant. And then we send this industrial lubricant and this clay to make some helium. And therefore now we can make our first airship. We can make one that is armed or one unarmed. We are not at war, but you never know. So let's go with the armed one. While we're waiting for this airship to be built, let's look over here. We have actually the coffee that has started, so that's great. We have the rum that is there, seems to be provided without any problems. So yeah, our money is way back up already, even if we haven't started to do the penny farthing, the pocket watches, or several of these.
That's how we've always done it.
And yeah, we have a first cargo ship that has been built over here. It is 6 slots to transport resources, 2 slots for items, and more importantly, because we're talking about a steamship, his movement speed is always gonna be the same. There is no impact of the wind. So this is really good, you know, to have consistent trade route. So let's go and put him over here on the rum, because we know that that has been a problem. And while we're at it, let's make another one.
We don't need you dragging us down.
We also have the oil tanker that's arriving for the first time from the new world with all of this oil. Perfect. So now we have a good reserve. So let's restart over here the second oil power plant. And with this, one more good provided. We need now the spectacles and the light bulbs. We also have a big problem with the fur coat. I need fur coat for my artisans, but also for my engineers, right? Right now I am giving it to my artisans, but not to my engineers. For my artisans, I need 6. If I also start my engineers, then obviously I need a lot more. I need now 14. Thanks to this item, the costume designer, I'm using fur coats and wool. So wool, that's easy. I can increase that. You can see those sheep farms over here. I'm using the silo and, you know, the 3 modules. That's easy. I can make more of these. What's harder is the fur. We need islands with fur fertility. This island over here doesn't have it. This island over here doesn't have it. This one doesn't have it. 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 Ooh. This is the only island that actually has the fur fertility in obviously the islands that I have. Right? There are other islands, I just don't have them. For example, this one over here, this is also an island that is huge and has the fur fertility, but I don't have it. And as you can see, this is quite well defended, including a big Betty. So I cannot take that on. I cannot. Constructed. And therefore, basically right now, my fur coat production is limited by my fur production, which is at 11, not at 14. It's not enough for what I need. Even if I've put the plus 50 over there. I could put a trade union over there and try to increase a bit this, but we're not gonna do that right away. What we're gonna do instead is actually we're gonna give it to the engineers and we're gonna stop giving it to the artisans. Because for the artisans, this is 23 coins. For the engineers, this is 63 coins. So it's a lot more. The consumption is slightly higher too, but it's a lot more money as you can see. But the main reason I'm doing this is that so that we can get, you know, to a high number of engineers to be able to get to investors. And here it is, we have our first airship and it is armed, as you can see. Now that doesn't mean I can actually use it to attack ships like this. What it can do is destroy the other airships. So that's a good start. Then we could also drop bombs in the future, but we first need to make bombs. Before we do that though, I want to create our first airship route. Let's go and transport some of this mail between those 2 islands, right? There is only 1 cargo slot, so we're gonna use the same, but that's fine. Let's go. So what is happening? The airship is going over here and it's going to take some of this mail over here, right? It has taken some of this mail. Then we can follow it to the other island. And in the other island over here, it's going to drop this mail. If I click over here, you'll see it's going to drop 50. It has taken also 50 new ones. Then it arrives back over here and it's going to drop again 50 of this mail, making it a regional mail. Then it's going to take 50 again of this new one, right, and transport it. So now on both of these islands, we're going to have local mail and regional mail. So going into the artisans and others, we can now give the original mail and make even more money. Now it is actually quite hard to do the min-maxing for those resources because you cannot put, you know, a minimum, for example, to say, make sure there's always 15 in stock. You also cannot say to the airship, wait to be full before you go. And, you know, basically when they drop the 50, even if this is full, they still drop it and then it's gone. So it is not perfect, you know, this mechanic may be a bit hard sometime to work out. If you're having problem, for example, not having enough to do both the regional and the local mail, see that the local one only brings 7 coins, the regional 15. So basically I suggest that you stop the local and you make sure that you have the regional. And by the way, the overseas is even more, 29. So yeah, we've started to give that, making even more money, love it.
Not even my alpaca is complaining.
And now that the city is growing, we have more engineers, we've gotten a bit more influence, so let's build our first battle cruiser. And here it is, ladies and gents, our first battle cruiser is ready to defend our city. We're not gonna attack with just one, but we can defend. It is of course the first of many. So 2 more goods to provide to our engineers before we can get to investors, the spectacles and the light bulbs. Please smash the like button, tell me in the comments below if you have any questions, requests, and I hope to see you next time.